the origin and true story of the Ebionites and Rome's 2,000-year monetary propaganda campaign. Imagine, nearly 2,000 years ago, a group of people embraced a label meant to insult them. That label was Ebionite, derived from the Hebrew word Ebion, which means the poor. But these people were more than just the poor. They were members of a revolutionary movement known as the Fourth Philosophy, a group of anti-money idealists who left us the Dead Sea Scrolls. Their righteous investment is discovered as the reason for the Roman pontifical invention of the State of Israel. This art of war strategy is popularly known as the 26th law of power, as exercised by the Roman pontifical organization that controls the world still to this day. Today, we're peeling back the layers of history to uncover the true meaning behind the term Ebionite, the propaganda campaign that started it all, and how it shaped our Christological, demonologically based monetary system today. The term Ebionite started out as an insult. Roman propaganda used to diminish the members of the anti-money Fourth Philosophy. These people believed in rejecting money and its fraudulent reflection of wealth as a path to spiritual purity, values that posed a threat to the Roman Empire's reliance on taxation and the monetary Ponzi scheme, centralized banking and salvation machine, that Rome eventually used to overthrow and subjugate humanity. It wasn't long before Ebionite became a label for anyone who rejected materialism and Rome's fiat authority. Ebionite was like the modern derogatory N-word for calling them the poor. But here's where it gets interesting. The members of this pre-Christian Fourth Philosophy movement embraced the name Ebionite, as if they had thought of it themselves, claiming it as a badge of honor. They wore it as a symbol of their anti-money philosophy, poverty of spirit, a rejection of Rome's obsession with fiat monetary wealth, and a commitment to simplicity and sharing. So, who originally coined this term Ebionite? Does it not stink of the same organization that invented the term conspiracy theory through the Roman pontifical agent Alan Dulles of the CIA? Paul of Tarsus was a figure often revered as a founder of Christianity, but his real role was far more corrupt and justifiably controversial. Paul was no simple preacher, and his sister was married to Herod's Jewish temple treasurer. Paul's sister had a son named Julius Archelaus that saved Paul from certain death with Herod's Praetorian Guard in the New Testament book of Acts, chapter 23, verses 16 through 35. Paul, educated at the school of Heracles in Tarsus, was a Herodian tax collector, a Roman citizen through his sister's marriage, and a counterintelligence agent for the Roman Empire. Paul's job? To protect the Roman monetary enterprise and to counteract the spread of Judas and James's Fourth Philosophy's anti-money Pythagorean ideology. Paul was on a mission to dismantle this movement, to preserve the economic interests of Rome by using propaganda, and the term Ebionite was his tool, in exactly the same way that the phrase conspiracy theory was used by Alan Dulles in his fraudulent JFK assassination investigation. And no, this anti-money philosophy wasn't new. It was the revival of a revolutionary movement that had risen over 500 years earlier, under none other than Pythagoras, known in the Dead Sea Scrolls as the righteous teacher. To stamp out this movement, Rome didn't stop at labels. They twisted the story of the founder of the Fourth Philosophy, Judas the Galilean, turning him from a revolutionary icon into a villain in Roman propaganda. Rome spun a tale that cast Judas as a money-hungry instigator of chaos, even though his philosophy was the exact opposite. They invented a flesh-eating, tax-paying, subject to the Roman enterprise, a doppelganger Jesus Christ. Through the creation of a monetized, meat-eating figure who would preach obedience and submission, Rome sought to erase the legacy of Judas the Galilean, James the Just, and the anti-money rebellious spirit they stood for. Enter Josephus Flavius, aka Arrius Calpurnius Piso, a Jewish Roman historian and the youngest, most educated of the Piso tax collectors whose writings became the tools of Roman propaganda. Josephus Arius's family were actually Celtic Gauls who attempted to insert themselves as Jewish client kings, so that they could maintain their position indefinitely as tax collectors over Judea. The Piso dynasty outlasted any Roman royal family by maintaining their indispensable position. In a document known as the Testimonium Flavianum, Josephus supposedly details the life of Jesus Christ. But scholars and historians have raised serious doubts about the authenticity of this passage. The true story behind this so-called testimonium is that it's actually about Judas the Galilean, the real figure who first cleansed the temple, who sparked the first rebellion war against Rome with the first temple cleansing in the year 4 CE, and which led to the immediate arrest of Judas and his father Matthias, who was executed as a result of Judas's actions. But in a later edition, an interpolation, the figure of Judas is erased and replaced with the character of Jesus Christ. The story of the execution of Matthias for the actions of his son Judas is told in the Bible under the story of Jesus Barabbas and Jesus of Nazareth being presented on the stage for the Jews to choose one to be executed. That's right, both individuals were named Jesus in the Barabbas story we're officially given, and that made it right past your otherwise impenetrable BS meter. This fraudulent interpolation wasn't just a historical oversight, it was a calculated move by a demonically inspired Roman criminal organization to control the narrative. By inserting the monetized Christ character into historical texts, Rome sought to validate a story that aligned with their interests. Obedience to empire, acceptance of fiat wealth, the subsequent criminal taxation, theft, and submission to Rome's monetary system. For millennia, this interpolation has served as a foundation for biblical and banking institutional narratives, used to validate the very systems of fiat power Rome needed to protect its global casino. And to this day, this fraudulent narrative remains unprosecuted, its influence embedded in global monetary and political structures. The legacy of the fourth philosophy and the story of the Ebionites matter because they reveal how deep this foundation of propaganda runs. The very financial systems that impact every human being across the globe today are rooted in this ancient scheme. Sharing this history, understanding the truth behind it, is a step toward reclaiming our understanding of wealth, power, and spirituality from a narrative constructed to serve the few. So next time you think of the word Ebionite, remember, it's more than just a label. It's a story, a struggle, and a legacy that still impacts us all. Learn the truth, reclaim history.